the applicant will then sum up and finish the case. Okay?
This is
you want to call?
yes. Mr. Chairman, we have two adjournment. First is cases 5423 through 5723 in here. Ira and Sarah Lansman. Variance exceeds number of stories. Construct three-story addition attached dwelling. Special exception to construct accessory structure, basketball hoop with backboard higher than permitted and with less than required rear yard setback. Install 6-foot high containment fence netting above existing 6-foot top fence. Total height 12 feet. Variance side yard maintained and replaced. 3 AC units attached dwelling, also known as 845 Jefferson Street.
Is there anybody here on that case? I believe we can give them notification that there is a request for adjournment, and of course, the case is on for the first time. I believe we could get often enough to know the potential objective requesting adjournment until the next available date, which is until January 25th, 2023. Do you have any objection?
So, both the homeowner and myself.
State your name and address.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Shmuel Flam, residing at 194 Monster Avenue, applicant here on behalf of the client and owner. That date does not work for the homeowner or myself. We won't be around, but we would be amenable to, I think, the following date, which was February 1st. That was the next available.
We'll adjourn this case to February 1st at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Morning.
Is morning okay? I guess. And then in that event, we'll adjourn it to the morning on Thursday. All right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Have a wonderful day.
Next, we have case 6423 Belmore, 318 Bedford Avenue, 357 International Light Cafe. Waive Boston parking, vacate expansion into existing restaurant, also known as 322 Bedford Avenue.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members. Christian Brown, the law officer at 1122 Franklin Avenue, Garden City. The applicant, there was an oversight of the sign posting on this case, so it needs to be adjourned so we can properly post the sign. Spoke to the office. If February 15th is available in the afternoon, that would give us sufficient time to correct the error.
February 15th p.m.
February 15th.
We'll adjourn the case to February 15th, 2:30.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a good day.
That's all the adjournments we have. Is there anybody here that has any other adjournments? Okay. Next we are hearing case 5823, 5923 Merrick, Maria Montalbano, mother daughter residence, sex kitchen. Variances, lot area occupied, front yard average setback, construction addition, second story addition with deck, second story addition open below and over porch wall attached wall, also known as 1420 Park Avenue. I'll just start everybody else. Swear affirm
Good afternoon. My name is Hempstead. I reside at 1077 Marlboro Road in Baldwin. I'm here from Hempstead Drafting and Architecture, representing the Montalbano family. Montalbano's at 1423 Park Avenue in Merrick. They are looking for, they have 3 cases. One is for lot coverage, which we are 24.6 square foot over. So the second one is for our front yard setback. The current, what we are looking for is 22.8. Currently right now the house is non-conforming. at 24.6, and the average front yard setback in that area along that street is 35.04. The third application we are here for is a mother-daughter application. The Montemanos are looking to secure the second floor for their children. Would you like me to introduce the Montemanos to you?
Yes, I think that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Then we have on the left, far right there, we have Maria, the wife, Frank, the father, we have Christina, James, and we have our secret weapon, Anthony.
Anthony Alexander.
Time up.
Okay, so he wasn't on this, so after we're finished, you're going to pay him.
Go ahead.
I'm done with participation.
Good.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
He says he's done.
I'm done. Yeah. I like it, short and simple.
Where is the primary house?
I'm sorry?
Up, down, side by side?
It's just also on the second floor. We're not really increasing the footprint of the building. We are increasing maybe we have a second floor cantilever which goes onto the front, and we are building out a second floor deck, second floor deck for the second floor.
Yeah, and okay, so up and down, number one, we're going to have to add Anthony to the list. Number two, were you provided with a copy of the conditions pertaining to us in terms of it's unique to them, one doorbell?
Yes. There's one doorbell, one mailbox, and one other meter.
Okay, and did you advise your client of those, and did you all understand that? If you were to sell the house or leave the house, this grant, if its name would be exclusively you, so you don't sell it really as a mother-daughter, that any new purchaser would have to come in and get approval as a mother-daughter also.
The last sheet on the blueprints actually shows the revision of what's going to happen now. Yeah.
Exactly, but they have to know that you don't. It's not just transferable.
Right.
Also, how many cars does the family have?
4 cars.
Okay, and how many of them can you park on the premises?
There are 2 off-street parking spots and 1 garage, so it's a total of 3.
Okay, and then assume the other one will have to go on the street. The street parking was on the house street.
Yes.
I want to find the EAR. Board of All right, so the Board of Architecture review, which reviews all mother-daughter applications, found it to be suitable for a mother-daughter use with obviously a reversion plan in place with the one caveat that there be no illegal occupancy in the basement. So back to the basement, what is down there? I see you have a cellar, but I don't see, are there walls? Is there a bathroom?
Finished.
It's just not finished.
Okay. Is there a bathroom down there? Is there a bathroom in the basement?
No, there's no bathroom in the basement.
All right. There's no exterior staircase to the basement, I don't think.
For the rear fence, there appears to be 2 feet off the property line.
Is it needed?
I'm sorry, what are you looking at?
Looking at the rear fence, the fence at the rear of the home,
A small section next to
little section looks like it's 2 feet off the property line.
By the garage, in the back of the garage.
Okay, you're referring to the fencing?
Correct. It's not before us, but we're just bringing it up.
Okay.
Right, I want to know.
Clients might have a problem someday with that first possession.
Okay.
You know, you might want to, I don't even know what the chairman is saying, and this is kind of all in practice is important, is that, there is a scenario where the fence is for too long off the property line, whereas the neighbor is using that land, it's possible for them to later bring an action for adverse possession if your fence is in fact not on your land. So you just might want to pay attention.
Do you have access to the side of the garage, the neighbor's property on the south side? You can walk behind the garage?
No,
You cannot.
no.
You may have
the cease exactly to be related on that.
Pardon?
Yes,
Is the fence yours or the neighbor's?
the fence is ours.
Did you install it?
No,
We actually have the fence application that's already been, it's in the building department also. It's,
Say it again.
we have a fence application that's at the building department. We have to submit one for this application. It's number 22-5152.
You may want to listen to it.
What is the application?
22-15.
No. What are you asking for?
Oh, no, I'm just specifying that we also have an application into the line of fence also.
Just an as of right, like just a permit?
Yes.
Not coming before us?
No, no.
Okay, because it would be as of right, a 6-foot fence in the back.
I'm sorry?
Because the 6-foot fence in the back would be as of right. But if you're giving the building department the location of the fence is part of your application, which makes sense.
Okay, yes.
Again, you might want to, if you are thinking of moving it, you might want to do that as a package deal.
I see what you're saying.
You know, set it back, get them the plan on the right property line, so you don't have anyone in the future trying to claim that property, and just make them aware of it. It's probably an as-of-right application, so, it doesn't matter to us here, except, if we know it, we'd like to find it.
Okay.
Do you understand what was just said?
I do understand. I will explain, I will further explain it to them outside.
Okay.
When we're done here.
They're concerned that you're not going to possibly lose your property to your neighbor. Part of it.
Because it's more than full.
Yeah, yeah.
Any encroachment exceeds 1 foot, you may have an out of possession property, subject to losing title to that piece of property.
In exchange for this advice, we just want to be,
Free legal advice.
no, it's really not advice, we just advise you put us off.
And that's the case.
Yes.
Do I have any other comments from the board?
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's ready.
Second.
Thank you, have a nice day.
Thanks.
In favor?
Aye.
Next one case is 60.3 to 62.3 West Hempstead. Sheldon Moore, Sharon. Special exception to maintain the second accessory structure, gazebo, higher and larger than permitted, with exceeding horizontal maximum on both sides, with less than required rear yard setbacks, and with lot area occupied variance. Special exception to maintain third accessory structure, outdoor kitchen, exceeding horizontal maximum, and with less than required rear yard setback, maintaining hot tub with less than required side yard setback. Known as 163 Garden Place. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, I do. Please take a seat, state your name, and address the record.
John Tufel, a professional engineer, 707 Route 110, Farmingdale, New York. I'm here today representing Sheldon Moore and Sharon Porter of 163 Garden Place, West Hempstead, for seeking to maintain an existing gazebo and hot tub in their backyard.
Hey, Mr. Tupel, can I ask you something?
Sure.
That cover on the hot tub, does that also roll up so it's over you if you're in the hot tub if you want?
You know, that I don't know. I was just there, but it's in resting position now. I don't know if you can raise it up.
Oh, because it kind of looks like it is the way it's designed.
Yeah, I never saw one like that, but that doesn't mean, obviously, that that's what exists. Anyway, the zone is a residence B, and we're requesting a special exception to maintain a second accessory structure, which is a gazebo, where the permitted size of the gazebo is 12 feet by 12 feet and 144 square feet. And we're requesting to maintain the existing 16.2 feet by 16.2 feet and an area of 263 square feet. The height of this gazebo is 13.3 feet, where 9 feet is permitted. We're also requesting a rear yard setback of 1.4 feet to the gazebo, where 2 feet is required, which is relief of only 7.2 inches, and a lot coverage of 34.5%, where 27 to 30 30% is permitted.
Is that your full lot coverage for all your requests here?
Yeah, 34.5, correct. The gazebo was constructed on concrete footings and columns and would be impractical to move. Page 61 is a request to maintain a third accessory structure consisting of 2 granite countertops, a gas stove, gas barbecue, and under-counter refrigerator. This is located under the gazebo and is referred to on the calendar as an outdoor kitchen. Its size is also 16.2 by 16.2 feet and 263 square feet, where again the same 12 by 12 and 144 square feet is permitted. It has a rear yard setback of 1.3 feet, where 2 feet is required by code. This is only 8.4 inches less than the zoning ordinance requires. Finally, we're requesting to maintain the existing 3.5-foot south yard setback to the hot tub, where 4 feet is required by ordinance, a relaxation of only 6 inches. The gazebo and hot tub were installed by a contractor 3 to 4 years ago, who assured Mr. Moore and Mr. Porter that no permits were required nor zoning variances needed for the project. They've been very pleased with the structures, obviously only using them during the summer months, and we're very surprised when they heard from the town regarding the issues which bring us here today. Finally, the gazebo, hot tub, and outdoor kitchen, as well as the existing 2-story house and property are in excellent condition, and we respectfully request that the gazebo and the hot tub be permitted to remain as they are.
Mr. Tufel, the client has several open permits. Are they all going to be taken care of? Should this board favorably have an application?
Yes, and we'll be closing out those permits as part of this project.
Mr. Tufel, you said that the kitchen is 16 by 2 by 16.2, right? And 236 square feet?
Yes.
You were only rejected on that for the horizontal maximum on the kitchen, not for height, and not, which makes sense, and not for larger than allowable. And I don't think that the kitchen is 16.2 by 16.2, because as I look at it here, there's 2 countertops underneath the gazebo, right?
Right, I understand your point exactly. I just tried to be conservative and assuming the kitchen was it's underneath it, so if I chose the same area.
Good answer.
Except that this building department didn't reject you for that, so we wouldn't even be granting that relief. So just want to make sure that whatever relief you actually need, and you need horizontal maximum on each one of them because they're each 16.2 feet long. But apparently they were re-examined as a structure that is connected on the inside. In other words, you don't need larger, and thank God because you weren't asked to get larger, and you don't need height, right? So we are not the 2.36 square feet that you thought you needed for the kitchen. You weren't rejected for it, so we won't be considering that.
I understand, sure.
Just the horizontal on both those sections, horizontal max.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. And the height of hot tub, that's not.
Yeah, that wasn't on the calendar.
Is that the case, Mr. Tufel?
Yes, it is.
Do I have any questions? Any other questions?
I had just several questions. That shed, has it been removed?
Let me see. Yes, it will be removed. It's still there now, but they're going to remove it, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the hearing be closed and that it be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Tufel, to be notified by the notice.
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, we have case 6323 Wandsworth. Mary Ellen Storm. Variance lot area occupied, construct second-story addition with roof over open porch and second-story addition over open patio, both attached as well, known as 904 Park Drive. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, like that? Please state your name and address for the record.
Lisa Koshia with permits and arrests, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396, Syosset, New York, 11791. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm here representing Mrs. Storm, who is proposing to build a second floor. This property is located in a Residence B zone. The second-story addition will be bringing existing coverage from 1,615 square feet to 2,152 square feet, making the lot coverage 35.9%, where the required is 30%, which is a minimal change of 5.9%. The proposed second-story addition will be used to accommodate Mrs. Storm's daughter, who is expecting, and her son-in-law. Mrs. Storm works from home, as does her daughter, and will be utilizing some of the space there as their offices. Mrs. Storm has spoken to Mr. Forte, who lives next door, and stated he has no objection and looking forward to seeing your model's home. Mrs. Storm respectfully requests your approval.
On the rear 15 by 25 foot second story extension, it's over an open patio, correct?
Correct.
Are there going to be any exterior stairs to access that second floor?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you been into the premises?
I have not.
It's in the basement, you don't know in the basement. There's finished one out, of course, in all documents, there's an open permit for an exterior staircase in the basement.
We had, as far as the basement, we had put in an application to maintain a partial finished cellar with a cellar entrance, and it was approved. We're just waiting on the actual permit.
I don't find that in the set of plans. I can't find the floor plan for the cellar / basement. And we have no plan for it. We don't know what's down there. Yeah, and the stellar entrance, exterior entrance isn't on the plan. Are these right along? I don't understand why the floor plans don't include the basement as part of the house. You know, like basement floor plan first and second.
I know, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, the proposed first floor plan and the existing first floor plan. Even the elevations don't show basement. Never noticed what's happening. Let's see if that one is there. We have some, we have a couple of documents. There's some plot plans that were voided superseded. So I don't know what changed between that one and the current one, but were any house plans voided and superseded? I don't have it. I just have one set. I want to make sure it's the right set.
I only have the one set as well. I'm just looking through my paperwork to see if I have anything else, but I don't believe so.
This is not a house where it kind of, it's sometimes you get the split levels where it's sort of called a basement, but is this a below ground basement?
Yes, the basement is below ground. Right now, the house is just a one-story home with just a roof with attic space. Nothing, you can't like walk up. You could put maybe some equipment in there or whatever for AC, but there's no space up there.
It's a Cape Cod style.
So it's a Cape Cod without, there aren't any bedrooms, there's no staircase up. Yeah, it's like a ranch, yeah.
A Forest City ranch house.
Correct.
Okay, so I think the site plan doesn't show the exterior stairs. I don't know if it shows everything else, but since that came, and the plans don't have neither the elevations show a basement, nor do we have a floor plan for the basement, so I don't know. I mean, on one hand, maybe we should adjourn it to complete the file. I'm not just
Well, all I know is that we have filed an application for the proposed second floor addition with a front porch, and then we also put in, which is 22-4011, and then a separate application, 22-2421, to maintain the partially finished cellar with the steps. That was approved. The only thing that has to come before you today was the second floor with the front porch.
Yeah, I understand. I realize what you're saying. I mean, the issue is, even if that's not before us, we're looking at a plot plan that doesn't show stairs that are there. Are the stairs there?
Yes.
So,
everything is
and we're looking at house plans that don't show any existence of a basement. I don't think it's a heavy lift, but I don't know if it's up to the chairman, but I feel like we don't have accurate documents right now, and they could be easily corrected.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that the case be adjourned so that the submission of correct and accurate plans be submitted.
Plans and site plan.
That's my recommendation.
And if you put in an application for that basement and stairs, you should be able just to, you already have the site plan probably. You're showing.
the office.
Yeah, and then if we could just get the floor plan and the elevations both that show the basement exists on the house. So, yeah, so how long will it be?
You can give me the next available. That would be fine.
Okay.
January 25th is the next available date.
That's
January 25th.
that enough times?
Would mailings or anything have to go out again, or would I just have to show up with it, submit the documentation and show up here?
The one thing is, do we need one file for 30 days? We kind of do that. You don't have to mail because no one's here, so it's just like an adjournment. You don't have to mail it.
Okay.
I mean, I think we need one file for 30 days, right? There's this week.
That's a policy.
So February 15th.
That's, if I may, that's assuming that the stairs, where are they located? Let's back up.
I'm not sure where they're located, I just know that they're currently there and have been there, so.
If the stairs are located in the side yard, it might create an additional variance.
Except she's already got permit. So the building department already passed the master right.
Theoretically, if they're in the right location.
February 15th.
I think it's better to
Yeah,
know.
8:30 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's maintained anyway, so.
Yeah.
February 15th at 9:30?
2:30.
2 o'clock? Thank you.
This does. The thing is, if you said it, I apologize. What is the area occupied you propose?
The square footage or percentage?
Percent.
The percent is 35.9, where the required is 30.
Now, the required is 27.5.
You're in a Res B?
Res B, yeah.
27.5.
30 you got from when you have a deck, right? But that's a low deck. This is
Thank you.
all right. So the matter is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have case 6543, Unidale, Convenience Property, Old LLC. Variance of compulsory parking, exterior alterations for offices, storage, and warehouse. Known as 635 Nassau Road.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Jan Swaley.
You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do So my traffic expert, Mr. O'Brien, has been moved from North Hempstead. I don't mind starting now. He should be here no later than 3 o'clock, although I would defer to the next applicant to the clock.
Yeah, we'll set it.
All right, thank you so much.
Next, we have case 6623 West Hempstead, Aaron and Stephanie Molitsky. Variances, lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, construction dwelling from existing foundation, demolish existing dwelling. Known as 651 Wildwood Road. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Please take seats, state your name and address.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Todd O'Connell, architect and business at 1200 Veterans Highway, Popeyes, New York. Okay. My clients, what they're looking to do is to move their family into this home. Currently, the home is vacant. They're looking to build their dream home and move to this particular location. Unfortunately, to accomplish what they're looking for in this home, we have to request several variances. Currently, the home is non-conforming on side yard setback, on minimum as well as aggregate. So we know there's a code change at one point. But we're short on the aggregate side yard, but we're not making any worse. We're looking to maintain what's already there. We're going vertical, but it's also this lot is pie-shaped, so it's only a very small front corner that's actually in violation of the aggregate setback. It's not the entire house; it's only the front section.
Okay, just to be clear.
Sure.
You're proposing to demolish the entire dwelling and put a new one up. Because some of the words you were using almost sounded like you were just altering the existing structure.
The building department's, taken it as if we're taking it down to the foundation. The reality is we're using the foundation and we're actually keeping a couple exterior walls, but the building department deemed that I'm taking the whole house down.
Okay, so if that's the case, then I don't know. Then just tell us exactly what you're asking for. Because when you go, we're not changing this and that, just tell us what the proposal, I think, is more clear.
Sure. The proposal is to build a two-story home on the existing foundation. And the existing foundation does not comply with the aggregate setback.
But it always did.
It always did. That is correct.
So the aggregate you propose now
is 17, I'm sorry, let's see, it's the aggregate. 17.8. I'm sorry?
What is permitted?
Permitted is 20.5 is what's required, because it's a pie-shaped lot, and under the new the code changes, they take the side yard based on the width of the lot at the residence, not at the front of the street.
and the lot's 78 feet wide.
Right, it's pie-shaped, so it's actually even wider at the house, so which is what makes us have such a wide setback.
Okay, and you need lot area occupied inside.
That's correct. And then lot area occupied, we are building an expansion, square off the back corner of the foundation. And it's adding a little bit more footprint than what the current house has. Currently, the house's footprint is 25.67, and we're looking to expand it to 32.23. Part of that expansion is, due to an open front porch and back platform or steps to get out, which represents approximately 3% of space. The house itself is actually at 29%.
Side yard.
About the side.
There's a minimum side yard that's, again, it's the existing foundation. It's 0.4 off, so half a foot off, and it's pre-existing. We're currently 6.4, where 6 is required. 6.8, I'm sorry, is required, and we're at 6.4. So we're 0.4 on the minimum side yard setback. But we're not changing what was currently in place.
Front yard?
There is no front yard variance request before the
Why? It says required 25 point.
Because it's to a front porch, the 20.8, and the front porch is a permitted front yard encroachment. The 20.8 that you see is to a front porch, which is a permitted encroachment.
Yes, correct. Now, what's the extent of your front porch? It's almost 8 feet, 9 feet. Correct?
The on one section of it, yes, it's 4 foot by the front door, and then the back section is correct, almost 8 feet. But where it goes by the encroachment into the required front yard, so that section of it in the back doesn't count, because the required front yard is 25.2. We're only projecting 4.35 feet with an open porch into the required front yard.
And you can project up to 6, but
Up to
there's
6.
some kind of, it can't be solid, and I think it can't be too tall.
Correct, and it's not. The front porch itself complies.
Is that the case?
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is it's a young family. They already have 4 children, potentially more. They do. They are Orthodox. They need a kosher kitchen, larger dining room. So these are, critical to the amount of space that we need for this family.
Do we have any other questions from the board? I move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on its calendar, Mr. O'Connor, be and by available decision with respect.
Thank you very much. Have a great remainder of the day.
Aye. Any other?
Next week's case is 1351-23 through 1352-23, near Island Park, Shannon Foster. Variances, lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, rear yard, constructed 2.5-story addition, roof over porch, rear 1-story to be renovated with roof over patio and exceeding all attached dwelling. Variances, lot area occupied, rear yard, maintaining deck and house dwellers, also known as 190 Harrison Way. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, of God. State your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Gallinaro, 185 Virginia Drive East, Vero Beach, New York, 11561. Here on behalf of John Eldridge and Shannon Foster, representing the clients for their home renovation, extension, dormer project that they've been working on for a long time. In January 21st of 2022, the home had suffered a devastating fire, and the clients are appreciative of the board accepting an expedited schedule for a hearing with the hardship that they've been put under over the last year has been substantial. The family, John and Shannon and the 2 young kids, have been displaced for about a year now.
When was the fire? In January 21 or January 22?
22.
Oh, I thought you said 21.
Started January 21st of 2022.
Okay, thank you.
I could have easily messed that up. So the project is relatively straightforward. We're interested in doing a front porch that will be covered. There's an existing porch there now. The rear deck, which is to be maintained, they purchased the home with a deck that was not ever filed for, which is now filed for application 22-1211, looking to just cover the existing deck. The second story,
That means a rear yard setback, correct?
the deck itself does, yes. There's an existing rear yard living room or den that we're matching up to, so we're not going beyond that.
Not pushing further, no.
Correct.
What does that new, the existing deck that you're going to roof over, what are the required rear yard setback and what are you applying to provide?
The required rear yard setback is 25 feet, and the existing is 11.4 feet. I think it's important also to mention that this is residential P district, where the average is about 100-foot deep property. This is existing non-conforming lot size. It could be 100 square feet, where the depth is only 85 feet deep.
Okay.
This is the Harbor Isle area.
Okay.
They're traditionally the same size, and the house, this is not out of character with the neighborhood in terms of what has been built there.
Good.
To that end and to that point, the side yards are existing to remain. They're also non-conforming.
What are they? What do they require?
The existing side yard requirements would be 5 foot on one, 10 on the other, and 15 total. And we have 4.8, 9.9 for 14.7. So it's a rounding error on the tape measure of the carpenter that's as closest. Then we have building area. The building area we're proposing is 2,079 square feet. 1,580 square feet is the house, and 499 square feet would be the front and rear patios or covered decks. If the house was on a 6,500 lot, which it's not, and we're at 27.5% coverage, we'd be allowed to have 1,650 for the house. So we're close, we're less than, but it's a substandard lot size, so we're going to have these variances as part of it. The second story dormer, we're simply building up on the footprint of the existing with the second story to house a master suite, a laundry area, and a study, and some additional storage. The family is also having Sharon's mother come stay with them. This is not a mother-daughter application, which is the explanation for extensions is to make the home a little bit larger. The children are growing, mom's moving in. There's room for everyone now if the plan gets approved. And the other note that comes up is that we have the air conditioning condenser on the left side of the house, positioned it there because the neighbor on that side has their house also close to the property line, and there's not much going on. The other side of the neighbor's house has more, they use that area more, so we figured we'd just keep the condensers in the area where they don't have a lot of windows on their side of the house, and it's not, in their yard or in their living room side. This home, oddly enough, too, is not in a flood zone. Although not in park, it does not come to the requirement for elevation. So this home of the same size is going to be smaller in mass than a lot of homes in the area due to the fact that it's a two-story, not a three-story home.
Is that the case, Mr. Gallinari?
Yes, sir.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Chairman, I move that the hearing goes to matter based on the decision calendar. Mr. Gallinari will be notified by mail of his decision once it's rendered. I will say to you, given your circumstances, that we do decide a number of cases each evening or finish. I don't know whether your case will or not be decided depending on the debating board. If you could call Mr. Vogel, they have buyers. If you call sometime, I don't know, whatever time Mr. Vogel says, he can let you know if your case was decided.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We're going to do a second calling, case 6523, Unionville, East Property Holdings LLC, variance and function parking, interior operations for offices, storage, and a warehouse, known as 635 Nassau Road.
Thank you very much for being here for us. May I hand up some exhibits and some boards for the boards?
That's up to Mr. Owens.
Sure. Here's a board that we refer to as documents. And here are some pictures that we can hear them. And here are 5 exhibits that are in front of us.
This,
What's that? I just wanted the board to see it. Yeah, I've seen it. Good afternoon again, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Janice Whalen. My office is at 23 Main Street, Huntington, New York, Suite 302. Today I have the pleasure of representing Venus Holdings. They own property at 635 Nassau Road in Uniondale. The principal of the company that operates there, RMD Electric, is Mr. Vishal Dikchan, and he is here this evening this afternoon as well. We are seeking Wall Street parking variances for the commercial property located at 635 Nassau Road, located in the Business X Zone, in connection with interior alterations that were conducted to the office, storage, and warehouse space at the subject location. Also appearing with me is Mr. Sean O'Brien, who performed traffic and parking counts on two weekdays recently, and he's going to report on his findings. RMD Electric was formed in 2008 and has since provided complex and necessary electrical work to New York public and private businesses. RMD is a fully certified fire alarm installer and is further certified by the Port Authority and the School Construction Authority. As an aside, the building is fully sprinklered and fully alarmed. RMD performs all of its work on site at projects in the 5 boroughs in Nassau and Suffolk. Oftentimes zoning attorneys get accused of seeking to put 20 pounds in a 5-pound bag. This is the exact opposite. This is 5 pounds in a 20-pound bag. This building is largely vacant and underutilized. The property area is about 29,000 square feet. The building occupies about 50% of that. We're far under the maximum permitted FAR. The building is comprised of 13,000 square feet. Only 6,000 of that is devoted to office space. The rest is, again, largely vacant, devoted to storage and warehouse. What is stored at the site? All deliveries for this electrical company are delivered to the project locations. This is deliveries just happen for back-ordered supplies, conduit cables, fire alarm supplies. There's not a lot of activity. There is absolutely no pedestrian traffic to this building. So this building has existed since 1953, prior to the adoption of the building zoning ordinance accessory parking requirements. The parking would have been required based upon the office, storage, and warehouse at 40 spaces. In fact, we provide 19 spaces. Through work and the kindness of the board staff, I was able to locate 2 prior decisions where this board in 1967 and 1979 granted parking variances on the site. In 1967, and that's Exhibit 4 in my package, this board granted an off-street parking variance for an optical lab. And at the time, the optical lab indicated that it had, 35 people working there. The parking required was 35 or 40, I think it was 40, and it was only 21 provided. This board granted the variance, noting that the building was largely underutilized, and that the board did not feel that. Also, the board felt that the buildings pre-existed the code. In 1979,
do you know whether it was 35 or 40?
It was 40. I just wanted to check that.
40, and there were 21 provided.
21 provided in 1967.
So that's a 19 spot variance that kind of you get.
Well, that was then. The use has changed several times since then.
It did. It was 53. I don't even know why you go in. You know what I'm saying? Because that was like 57.
There's been slight building alterations since then, too. In 1979, the application came again before this board, and at that time, the use was changed to a printing shop. That owner represented at the board hearing that he had 28 employees. And again, the board granted a parking variance in 1979. We have 10 employees on site, so we're presenting the best application that has ever been made on this particular site. We only have 10 employees who report to the business between 8 and 5 and 3. All of the other employees of this electric company report on site to projects. Now, we are bounded to the east by some residences and to the north and south by some commercial uses on that side. I have letters of consent or letters of no objection from the most affected property owners. The gentleman, his name is George Greer, he owns the property to the rear, and also Stray Monuments, a very old monument company. They also indicated that they have no objections to the relief requested. And certainly, as the most affected adjoining neighbors, if there were any overspill of parking, we would have known about that from these neighbors. But pretty much everybody parks on site. If there were ever a situation where we were where parking exceeded the 12 people that are there, we could easily stack the cars. The parking lot is fully enclosed. It used to have a 12-foot masonry wall around it, and that was redesigned to 8 feet. It's very attractive. There's no spillover outside of the perimeter of the building.
But that said, the explanation is why the deficiency works through the business model. I just want to get a few numbers. So you said that the optical was 40 required and 21 provided.
Well, now is 19 provided, 40 required.
That's what I was. So I see. That's what. So you need 40 just like that, and you're providing 19. So that was based on the optical use. Now, what use did the building department use? Did it use the one you described, which 6,000 square feet of office space and 15,000 of something else?
Correct.
In its arrival at 40, it's just a coincidence that...
No, that is what the building department quantified or adopted for purposes of this letter of denial.
But it just coincidentally is the same required as the optical scenario.
You know, I should know that, and I apologize. The optical scenario was 1967.
Right.
And I'm looking, that's Exhibit 4 that I handed up.
I'm having trouble finding papers to make myself, so I apologize. But
I don't know that they, in fact, recited they talked about the number of employees. They said they were 35 employees and a couple of salesmen in 1967.
so that's why you're going with that kind of analysis.
Exactly. I don't know that they exactly quantified what was required, but they certainly identified what was provided in the 1967 analysis.
Okay, so if we do an employee approach, but did the parking calculation that's on your plot plan, which is first floor office, second floor storage, and third warehouse, which I don't know the difference exactly in those, that is the one that was used to arrive at 40 by the building department.
Correct.
And that is, as you mentioned, 6,000 square feet of certain use and, 49, 60, 75 square feet of storage warehouse.
Correct. I don't know why the difference, but storage is quantified at a different calculation than warehouse. I believe warehouse is 1 per 1,000.
Right.
Storage is 1 per 500. But I will tell you, having walked through this magnificently renovated building, it's largely vacant. They have far more space than they need. And the only, area that's really occupied are the offices, which are forward of the building, 5,900 square feet.
And so then back to the employee analysis as a comparison, since we don't know how the approach was. You're back to, you have 12 people, they have 35, and you basically have the same parking calculation as they was then, with the exception of 2 spots.
Correct.
40 needed, 21 or 19 provided.
Correct.
And so using the employee approach, that's your argument about it.
Correct. And again, no pedestrian traffic, minimal deliveries, all deliveries are made to the site. If there were ever a time when parking may be exceeded, which I doubt it, because at peak parking times, Mr. Mulbride's calculations show that we don't come close to using the 19 spots. It's not striped now, but it could easily, cars could be stacked. But there's not been that situation where it's been required.
Right. And if you only have 12 employees and that many spots, even if few people come in and you indicated that's really not, it's not like a retail situation.
Not at all.
Then it makes sense that we would have an excess, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, it's too good that the applicant can't utilize more of his area that was paid for and renovated, but that would increase the parking demand if there were more office spaces in there. So he's backed into
Cross
something.
that bridge when he gets there. Did we take those letters from the neighbors?
Yes, I put the originals up there. One is the residence immediately adjoining us. That's Mr. George Greer. He's lived there for very many years. And, my client has very good relationships with all of his neighbors. There's no parking on Nassau or the side street or the boulevard. I visited the site several times, and I did not observe any overflow parking, but certainly our traffic expert will speak to that.
Okay, so we'll accept those elections. Just
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sean Ryan, 425 Franklin Avenue, Garden City.
Mr. Mulrines, since last time you were qualified as an expert for this board or any other board or court, have there been any change to your credentials?
No, there isn't.
Okay, Mr. Mulrines being offered as an expert in parking and traffic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll submit 2 copies of my report, and I also have 2 11 by 17 copies of the aerial photograph that is also displayed to my right and your left. We went out to the subject site on December 8th and December 13th. We took various counts throughout the day. One of the important things to know about this application is that the applicant actually moved in approximately 3.5 years ago and has been occupying the building. As we have discussed, this building has been used for various things throughout the years. Most recently, a print shop. And now it is a warehouse and office. I believe that one of the questions I was asked was storage versus warehouse. The warehouse is used to load trucks, unload trucks, so there's overhead door to that area. Storage is located within the office, file storage, things of that nature. I believe is how the town varies between the two. The reality is that neither one generates any additional parking demand. As mentioned, the warehouse is used in connection with the services provided. The office staff is there for administration purposes, paperwork, phone calls, coordinating job schedule. The technicians that work at this facility are technicians that are doing on-site installation of sprinkler systems. So they may come and pick up materials or have materials loaded, but their work is primarily essentially off-site. They don't do any work on-site. So the applicant, again, has occupied this building for approximately 3.5 years. There is a parking lot that they're using. This is a situation where an applicant purchased the property, improved it, and is subject to the limitations of that property. This is a parking lot that does not have street parking in front. They do not utilize any on-street parking because they have a parking lot on the subject site. They moved into the site knowing the limitations of the site, and our observations show that there is no overflow parking on the surrounding streets. There is commercial properties that front on Nassau Road, so if someone did need to park on those streets, they would most likely park closer to the commercial properties and not within the residential area. And again, that section of roadway that leads into the residential area would be fronted by the commercial properties closest to the main roadway. So anyone that was looking to park on the side street for whatever reason would be parked closer to those frontages. And just from the aerial photograph, you can see that we have a significant frontage on Northern Parkway, closest to Nassau Road. So if anyone that was looking to park off-site to come to the property would likely park there as opposed to infiltrate into the residential area behind. The applicant has been in the building once again for 3.5 years and has a good relationship with their neighbors. They did receive letters of recommendation of support, and there's no one here in opposition, so we believe that they have proven themselves to be a good neighbor and a good tenant for this location. And if there's any questions from the board, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Does the business own any trucks?
They do, but the trucks are out in the field largely. There's 4 trucks associated with the building with the RMD electric use. The largest is the size of an F555, I was told. At the start of the shift, the foreman or the driver would come and pick up his car, pick up the truck, and leave. And
So the trucks are there overnight?
Well, I don't want to say every night because there's different shifts. There's shifts that happen during the day, at night, and on the weekends. But for periods of time, there might be trucks there.
What, no more than 4?
No more than 4, not at the same time, because there's different projects going on at the same time.
But the business owns 4 trucks?
Correct.
And there could be a time that there would be 4 trucks on the premises?
I'd like to confirm that with my client. I don't believe so, but I want to give you the correct answer.
One of the things that happens if you're installing sprinkler systems, you might need to go install them at night when the offices are closed, so that there might be some shift work involved.
My clients indicated that if they were very slow, there could be a possibility, but fortunately this business is only grown and expanded, so they're not experiencing any sleep time in the coming months. And the way the parking lot is configured or can be configured, if all 4 trucks were there and then 12 employees were there, there'd still be enough parking spaces.
Now, there's some striping I see on the...
Some striping, but it's not complete.
And the building department's going to require that.
Yes.
Right. One quick question, Mr. Mormine. 1 or 2 buildings, I have no south arrow on here.
North is that way, south is that way, east, west.
That's good.
It's a little...
Oh, wait, there's a little thing here. So across the street to the south, there's some houses, and then behind those houses, there's some kind of business with it. It's like arranged with a...
This is an apartment. This is an apartment complex.
It looks like an apartment complex.
Okay. That's all.
And that's fully enclosed too.
I see that.
Yes.
These neighbors, we could not get any letters of support from this side, but they did not oppose.
Silence is golden.
Silence is good.
That doesn't help your case.
Doesn't hurt.
Do any board members have any questions? Any other?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the hearing closed and replaced on the city calendar. Everyone who is signed in on the case is entitled to second by mail 120.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You're welcome.
That's my
That closes the calendar today, so we will take a short recess and come back to our decision. Is that You have no input.
Yeah, that'll be good.
How do you tell Tom? Have something on tomorrow in the process of getting certain papers. So it's going to be adjourned. I'll see what's happening.
So what are we doing with that?
Oh, it's a limited comment. Right, Joe? Limited comment. Color. It's a color thing. It's not a continental. It's a color thing. Limited continental elements. Ordinarily, everything you guys are looking for. But limited continental elements are one or several, as a result of which the other occupants in the building can't use it ordinarily. And we'll build something. Why should the occupants in the building? Ordinarily, something should say that it's going to be passed to that limit. Because it's exclusively used for one person.
I don't
So
think
that's
so.
everything.
Because the roof is common.
No, it's not. It's common to everyone, but only one person can use it. And what is called, it's the entire roof, or just the roof over that part?
The roof abutting her farm. She apparently doesn't have like a roof in her structure. She walks out of her door and gets on the roof.
Like my son. The other people in the building don't have access. Okay, find out. It's a shot. Rather than anybody in the building, I'm sure Senator will love it. Senator will love it.
Because a lot of that area is common, as everyone can go up to.
This is not, this is.
It's supposed to be so the person who owns the parcel. What happened? But the entire roof needs should be
Apparently,
how many apartments are there in the story below the roof? Okay, so you've got two people who use it, and then the building's supposed to pay for it.
oh no, my brother's one below the roof, but he can't go, he's not allowed up, sorry.
Who can go up with one person, right?
Just the owner that.
It's worth,
Sure, it's her idea for the proposal.
She constructed a gazebo out there too. I said, they punctured the roof.
She was allowed to do that.
well, she did it.
She did it.
Whether or not she has to, who's the president of the board, right? Who knows?
I mean, personally, I just can't see a building code in New York City of
You see, go with the 16-story building.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll bet he's got a CO for that one. And of course, well, Joanna knows as well. You got to construct something.
Where's her apartment?
she's dependent.
She's married to the president of the board.
So she's the pension, so she
Yeah.
is actually about my house.
Yes. It's $200,000. It's not changing. Yeah, I imagine. Your house.
This is an open city. Okay. Right? This is Okay. Cases 54, 55, 56, and 57, 2023. Applicants are Ira and Sarah Lansman. Variance exceeds number of stories to construct a three-story addition attached to dwelling, special exception to construct accessory structure, basketball hoop, backboard, higher than permitted and with less than required rear yard setback, equal to 6 foot high containment fence netting above existing 6-foot high fence, total height 12 foot. Variance, side yard maintained, replace pre-conditioned units attached to dwelling. Property address is 845 Jefferson Street in Woodmere. That case is adjourned to February 11th. I'm sorry, February 1st, 15th. Oh, that's the one for one. 9:30. You're throwing me off.
You guys are good safety net.
It's going to be a long way coming.
Well, why can't we hear the case at 2 o'clock and we stay there?
We could.
Case 58 of 2023 and 59 of 2023. Maria Montalbano, mother-daughter resident, second kitchen variances, letter occupied by construction issue, second-story addition deck, second-story addition open below and roof over, open porch all attached to dwelling. Property address 1423 Park Avenue. discussion?
I make a motion that 58 to 5923 Merritt, Maria Montalbano, 1423 Park Avenue, be approved as requested with modification.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Cases 60, 61, and 62, 2023, North Hempstead, Sheldon Moore, Sharon Porter, special exception to maintain a second accessory structure, gazebo on and larger than permitted, exceeding horizontal maximum on both sides, less than required rear yard setback from the lot. Area occupied vacant, special exception to maintain a third structure, accessory structure for a kitchen exceeding horizontal maximum with less than required rear yard setback, maintain hot tub with less than required side yard setback. Property address is 163 Garden Place in West Hempstead. Do I have any discussion?
They did say that they would remove a shed in the side yard.
Correct. Similar to before, we had a condition which required removal of the shed 60 days subsequent to the receipt of the building permit. So that'd be the first thing that they do when they get their permits. Is that something we want? We can use that idea moving forward.
Is the do the plans indicate it's to be removed?
Yes.
Yeah.
They did just say it.
Yeah.
I will, Mr. Chairman, make a motion as it relates to cases 60 through 62 of 2023, which is the West Hempstead case of Sheldon Moore and Shannon Porter, as you previously described it, affecting the property of 163 Garden Place in West Hempstead, be approved as requested with the usual and any applicable conditions as to the gazebo, the outdoor kitchen, and the hot tub, and with the condition that the shed in the side yard be removed within 60 days in accordance with the plot plan and the testimony. And yes, and that the
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Case
I just have, excuse me, before we continue, I just have a question with respect to removal of sheds. What if they wait and don't get the building permit for 2 or 3 years?
No, they get it.
Well, they wouldn't be able to remove the shed without a permit, would they? So that would be the first thing to do to close out the permit. Or they basically do construction without a permit.
She just needs what happens if they don't get it in 60 days?
Okay, well, I mean, we can extension of time on the grant. We can do it from the date of the grant.
But what is our built-in sanction? The condition of the grant is to remove the shed in 60 days. Does that mean the grant is null or whatever if that doesn't happen, or do we need to articulate it so that everyone involved knows?
So they have to be.
Yeah.
Do they have to get a permit to remove the shed?
I thought it was.
I mean, if the shed's there without a permit,
Oh, I guess that's a good point. Well, we don't know if it's without a permit. They just said they're removing it. They might have removed it.
no, the search sheet says
Well, I think what we just want to make sure is that, 5 years from now, the shed's not there.
But no, I understand that, but if 5 years from now, I mean, I guess
So condition it upon being removed 60 days from the grant.
okay.
That's all.
But I think her question was, what happens if it's not? Do we need to say something?
No, I wanted to know if we were waiting until the building permit to do whatever they wanted was issued.
The biggest issue when it comes to enforcement is that if we put a condition in a grant, that's the last, it's something they don't want to do, it's the last thing they do right before they get the final final inspection. So what this condition did is if they want to get the other stuff, such as if they're putting in an extension or something actually they're coming here for, and we have a condition they don't want to do, they have to do that first before proceeding with any other portion. Hence why I think 60 days subsequent to receiving the permit for a construction case. I understand in maintain cases it might not be the same thing, but you're not going to get your final. In the maintain cases, the final inspection happens a lot more quickly than in constructions because you're not building anything.
So
on a final inspection, they would know enough to make sure that shed was removed, the inspector.
Right, but the problem we would have with that is the final inspection. If they do construct, it can take 2 years to complete construction. And literally 3 days before their final inspection is when they're finally conforming with the condition that they don't like.
So you're saying our goal is to say you can't get the permit that is granted with this grant until you get that condition. So if you're making the condition, you're making the condition, the one condition of this grant is that you can't get the permit that you are entitled to in this grant until you've met the condition of removing the shed. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying, but that's what we can do.
Oh, but you didn't want them to wait till last minute.
Last minute, exactly. So if we put the removal of the shed at the beginning of the construct, that'd be the first thing they do then before they do the rest of the construction. Because there's an initial inspection and then there's a final inspection.
So if we said no permit may be issued pursuant to this grant until the shed's removed, I mean, I don't care.
You do that one too.
I'm not clear what we're trying to achieve, because I don't really care.
Which way would cause them to comply with the board's decision quickly?
Both of those options would compel them to do the thing that we want them to do first prior to getting their construction. Both of those options would both do it, I think. One's going to be at the very beginning of receiving the permit, the other one's a condition of receiving the permit.
See, my dilemma is, let's say that there's a fence that's blocking the neighbor's driveway, 6-foot high fence, and we deny that. What's going to compel them to remove that 6-foot fence which is blocking the neighbor's driveway?
Sending out the building inspector constantly.
Setting up the building inspector is the only thing that's good. It's inciting them for the
Because if we
offense.
don't have a carrot, like they want to remove it for something else, then
Right, so
that's the carrot we use there. If we don't have a carrot, we have to send down enforcement.
yeah.
But the carrot is, who cares about the carrot, right? In other words, it's not, there's a case on that's on today that's been adjourned. And it's a basketball hoop.
Yes.
And we heard that case.
Yes.
And it was most likely leaning toward being denied.
Yes.
But they withdrew it.
Correct.
Before we had a chance to act on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's back.
Wait, is this a basketball case? I'm sorry.
So, one could assume that it was there for the last 2-3 years.
Yes.
But the people could call enforcement if it was building too much.
Maybe. How do we force the building department, if we can, to have them issue a summons or a citation, please? Because they've been hanging out illegally, annoying the crap out of people, dribbling basketballs.
I think that's a procedure that we should discuss.
As is generally the case, and I know Dave said this often, the former chairman, the people, neighbors are our chief informants. If they don't contact us, we can't direct the complaints to the right authorities. And we do, and we send it over to John Lipinski and the enforcement of the building department. To the extent that they actually do their job,
I'm sure
I sympathize. It's just that we don't have. It's similar to any court. The court can say whatever they want, but it's the police that enforce any sort of decision, not the court itself.
And, and frankly, using the basketball example is a good one because the level of urgency will depend on the level of the problem. And in the basketball case, if it was a real problem in the community, we got to believe these people would have been calling, right? Calling enforcement, get them out again. Now, the fence one is a harder one because if no one knows the fence isn't safe until someone gets in a crash at the intersection.
Also, with the basketball hoop, if they say, well, I'm going to immediately turn around and make an application for the building department. Now they're shoving it.
I know, they should have.
Usually, yes, but more and more so on cases that have been sitting for a while, particularly ones that have, let's say, either filed with BCA or filed to the building department. If people call and complain, they have been enforcement citing those papers. It's not them, and they're going to stay on enforcement.
Really?
So,
You have to by state law.
I know that in conversations with people on the enforcement arm,
we could go on the board because we were talking before us and Jerry didn't know the answer, and it literally said unless death or irreparable harm, all enforcement actions are stayed unless death or irreparable harm would come without enforcement.
I'm just telling you what was told to me, and in certain cases that I have heard them setting out for citations in those cases where people file a building permit and do nothing. I have heard.
So the bottom line is, word would ever where you feel it's worthy that we'll get an expedited enforcement.
And in order to, and just to assuage that concern a little bit, when it came to that, because they withdrew the application for the basketball hoop and they got granted their second story addition on that, that wasn't conditioned in any way to make sure it's like, all right, you can have your second story addition, but the first thing you have to do is remove the basketball hoop. They just got it as requested. And when they closed out their permits, they're like, oh, now we want to legalize the basketball hoop. So there was no ever early enforcement mechanism for them to remove the basketball hoop, and they got the relief they wanted.
So
Right.
the withdrawn case today was a new case, but it was for that old basketball hoop that got denied before.
But that's why there was no enforcement, because
Right, I get that.
yeah, that's what my presumption is. Now, I'm not going to get to the merits of the case itself.
Yeah, that's not.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
Aye.
Oh no, which condition did we decide upon? Do we want to do it 60 days? We could, so it would be, the shed needs to be removed in order for a permit to be received. So, you don't need to put a temporal requirement on it. We can say no permit shall be issued until the shed is removed as indicated pursuant to Exhibit 1, which is the site plan.
Sounds good.
I guess. I don't know what the urgency is of the shed.
They made a representation, that's all. Then I'm holding case in the file.
Okay, case 63 of 2023, one for Marion Storm Variance, Light Area Occupied, second story addition with roof over open porch, and second story addition over open patio, both attached to dwelling. Property address is 904 Grand Drive in Montauk. That case has been adjourned to February 15th at 2 p.m. It's my life's work. All right. Case 64 is 2023 Belmore, 318 Bedford Avenue, for ADA International Delight Cafe, Wall Street Parking, maintains connection to existing restaurant. Address is 318 Bedford Avenue. That case is also adjourned to February 15th, 2023, unless Mrs. Canano wants it at 30. Next case, 65 of 2023, Venus Property Holdings LLC, variance in Wall Street Parking, interior alteration for offices, storage, and warehouse. Affected premises at 65 Nassau Road in Uniondale. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll move, Mr. Chairman. Case 65 of 2023, Union Venus Property Holdings LLC, as you previously described, affecting the property at 635 Nassau Road, be approved as requested.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor? Any abstentions? Any reasons? Case 66, 2023, West Hempstead. Aaron and Stephanie Lewinsky. Variances not lot area occupied, side yard action. Construct dwelling on existing foundation, demolish existing dwelling. Premises 651 Wildwood Road in West Hempstead. Do I have discussion? Do I have a motion?
I move case 66 of 23 in West Hempstead, Aaron and Stephanie Lewinsky, at 651 Wildwood Road, be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any recases? Cases 1551 and 1552. Near Allen Park, Shannon Foster. Variances lot area occupied, side yard avenue, rear yard, construct to a one-story addition, roof over open porch. Rear one-story to be renovated with roof over open patio and AC units all attached to dwelling. Variances, lot area occupied, rear yard, maintained deck attached to dwelling. Property address is 190 Harrison Avenue in Allen Park. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I will move that case 1351, 1352 of the year 2023, Allen Park, Shannon Foster, as you described it, affecting the property located 190 Harrison Avenue in Allen Park, be approved as requested.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have at least one case left over
Yes, well, I have, so we still have, on the gym and fitness case, I called Mr. Vanessa's office. He's still reaching out to his client to see if they would agree upon a condition for the temporal 5 years. He hasn't gotten back to me yet.
We had a case on set this morning. 9:30 Germans.
Right.
Case 664-22.
Right. I don't know what we want to do. I can reach out and see if there's a way to put the fence in a way that maximizes the yard while minimizing concerns about the clear side triangle.
So is it a hold that list?
That one at Lido Beach.
Yeah, that's the one we're looking to go at, 10-foot setback.
Oh,
You didn't have it before.
so that's on reserve. I'm prepared to do case 622 of 2022. That's a case that we heard in late November in Point Lookout, Susan Maskus. It's affecting the property at 10 Mineola Avenue. That's a case that I went down and inspected. I read through the transcript and I reviewed the video testimony. That case requests a couple of 3 variances for actually lot area occupied, side yard area, and the rear yard. The lot area occupied requested is 33.8, which is significantly lower than the majority of lot area occupied requested in point of that area because of the size of lots. Side yard 5-1, side yard area 10-1, again, very much in line, if not a little better than the number of the houses we've seen down there and the size of the lots. And the rear yard requested is the one that looks at first blush to be the most significant, which is 15 foot required and a 4.28 requested. Again, common in Point Lookout, a little more of a deviation than the others, but it backs up to the town park property, so there's no neighbor in the rear to suffer a detrimental impact. So with that in mind, my motion would be to grant as requested those variances.
Second. I'm sorry. Yes. Second. All in favor? What else?
Just to re-clarify on the retail property trust case for concerns Roosevelt Field Mall, my task in this is to contact Bob and ask me about the potential environmental impacts and draft a secret determination as to whether or not those will have a negative or a neg deck or a positive deck depending on his findings, correct?
Correct. Yes.
That's okay. So I wanted to make sure that my task is clear.
Mr. Wolf, can I ask you?
Yes.
Do we have some sort of in-house expertise somewhere in the town building or something, or engineering that's separate, to give us some insight about, or have they already reviewed this moving and the traffic flow and stuff like that? Some sort of own, or the moving of the bus stop and the way. That was the first thing that I kind of noticed was how that reconfiguration. And I don't have enough experience or expertise to, on my own, really probably see the multitude of issues that might be presented and further analyzed.
I'll contact your engineering department, but Joe, you have more institutional knowledge on this than I do. Is there some department you think would be able to answer a question like that?
I defer to you first. Do you have a thought?
I didn't put you guys on the spot, just you guys have more institutional knowledge.
I don't know if traffic would really be great to go to. Maybe engineering, just in terms of
that
size of.
When we had situations like this, there was a consultant that we used to hire to use that. Don't know whether or not they're not in business anymore. You've had communication with them, and wherever it is, I'm thinking over the Westchester County. But Gwen Janowski might be able to let you know of any people that perhaps consult with the town board on that. I don't know whether or not there's experts in outside counsel. I think this project is significant, and
I feel like I should know more before I vote on the change. And granted, some of it's outside of my purview, but I don't feel comfortable, casting a vote, to be honest, until I have some better understanding of how the project will affect the traffic flow in that, the safety issues from what I think of it.
So let's forget about the negative deck of drafting anything. Can I put together a memo from all the individuals I speak with, their opinions on the matter, so you guys can be informed on what we have as experts on that sort of situation, and that way you guys can have a better idea of what the potential impacts are for safety as well as environmental.
Yeah, is that a county road or is that county road, John?
It is county because they have jurisdiction.
It's the ring road, though.
They just did local determination.
I think the ring road is private, but it's probably private.
If we can find out who's that one, who controls the ring road, that might be.
But also you have the New York State, the Meadowbrook Parkway is potentially going to be affected. Stewart Avenue is going to be potentially affected.
And by the way, did they have to get county approval to move the bus stop? They must have. It's county bus, right?
I would presume.
It's a whole,
Yeah, but the bus people have to say we're willing to. Yeah, I don't know.
I would think that's not nice.
Oh, I think it's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
I think one Janowski is a good beginning, and then ask further, and maybe you can ask somebody on the council and town board even, how they do their environmental.
I feel like I'm just kind of flying blind.
I'll call Bob. Okay, so no, I know what has on that. Okay. We have the top of page 3, the Elliott Baum case in Deer Valley Street. We received an email and pictures of dwellings within the radius. If the board recalls, Mr. Flom actually did this entire hearing without any expert testimony. This is submitted subsequent to the closing of the hearings, so to the extent this could be admissible as evidence, we have other copies. But he basically took pictures of similarly situated houses that are taller, not necessarily 3 stories, or at least not the appearance of 3 stories from the outside, basically in support of his testimony that it's within the character and nature of the political. Unless you reopen the case, I believe you not accept it.
Before we get to that, can we hear from Ms. Adams? Or I'd be interested to hear what you have to say.
Okay, with respect to that case, 16 of 2023, after review of the case and looking into the matter, the applicant here is asking for a 3-story, construct a 3-story addition, and variances where everything exceeds number of stories, and also a 3rd-story deck and covered porch, all attached to the dwelling. And after reviewing it, I feel as though this should be denied.
I tend to lean to that too. Ms. Adams. I'm trying to remember exactly what that case. Anyway, keep going.
That's it.
I agree with that, and I would even, if that's a motion, I would second that motion.
I mean, we generally don't grant 3 stories when they're real 3 stories. There are some things that come to us as 3 stories that end up getting granted because they are really not, in fact, 3 stories. Whether it's a FEMA situation, an unusable first level, whether it just looks like a 3-story because it has, a 2.5 situation, or etc. I'll make a motion to reopen. If the board sees fit, I make a motion to reopen to take this in.
You don't have to accept it.
I just thought we might
We have to satisfy the motion that's on the table now first.
Motion that's on the table now.
And I thought our grant or deny should.
We have a second.
Unless
Wayne, you
you
made the
vote.
motion.
Yes, sir.
Joseph, you second.
I did second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I brought up Jeff Evans before. I saw him here back in the party. if it's fine, we want to accept a temporary requirement, and we don't, if we want to make the motion now, we can always do that, but we want to wait for a response. This is the gym fitness case, and was that, it's basically class-based. Yeah, we have 1 year period.
What was the condition that we were asking the?
If I recall correctly, we didn't have a problem with the set conditions. It was all just a matter of whether we were going to put it as a 5-year grant or a permanent grant. That was the last thing.
So we're waiting for Mr. Vanessa to get back to us to see whether or not that would.
I would think that we need to vote.
Correct.
I would think we have to reach at the end, but I'm happy. Maybe depending on what it says. Well, I guess there's public assembly and there's parking. Right, but I don't know if, like if Mr. Vanessa says, well, if we leave the parking on Bergtown temporary, then we can't find it. So maybe we make the parking permanent and make the public assembly temporary. If there's a way to, if it ends up needing to be that way, I mean, I guess the question is, why would we want to make it? What's our goal in making it temporary?
Just to keep control.
Okay, so any one of them made temporary gives us the periodic check on it. So maybe we split the baby if it. I don't know.
We've done grants in part and grants temporarily in part. We split up the actions. And the last thing, just to bring it up again, is the.
So what did you decide on that?
We're waiting on response. And the last thing I have is once again that modification request of the TS Golf to extend from 9 to 11. Again, the board is technically not supposed to set time limits. However, if they did agree to these hours, it just depends on whether or not the board believes that this is egregious or not, or if it's sufficient. Just to extend the Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m. That's the.
My input on this is we should work with the business and see if we're articulate. This is the one where Dave and Buster's visits an area that, any economic help we can give people right now, I think makes sense, and it's an area that's not residential for the most part, it seems to me to be a very good fit for the space. And it also, I think that it's not a very intense use of the parking, because a lot of the space is like a bowling alley, stuff like that. But that's just my opinion on it. Does anyone else have any opinion on it?
I agree.
On the left side of the dais.
You guys, the place by Dave and Bus for the indoor golf thing. And
Extending the 9
So we
p.m.
have that.
Anything with the word less
Yeah.
than that.
That's the request.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion. That's 2123, right?
That is case number 8, 18, and 22.
Oh. I'm looking at the other one that's fitness. Okay, case 18.
18 of 22, TS Golf LLC.
That's really case 18 of 2022 TS Golf LLC. The request to amend the conditions to allow them to stay up until 11 o'clock on Thursdays be granted as a modification of the conditions.
It's just Thursday?
Just Thursday.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
That's what I have.
Patrick?
Extension of time.
We have one extension of time, but I believe that we're just not going to
Okay.
address it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nobody got it.
I keep getting these, you're extending it like this. I get it like, you're extending it.
They just want you to.
Yeah, that's why I don't touch it, because I don't want to get any,
What's on sheet?
yeah, I'm just thinking. I'm getting these text messages that my Xfinity, my internet,
Oh,
and I don't even know what it is. And I go back to my